Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. My name's Jonathan. I work for Mixed Telematics, and I'm really happy to be here today to share some time with you in partnership with the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport in the UK to talk a little around the topic of unlocking the savings potential of telematics. I do hope as people join that they're able to stay with us for the full session. What we've got planned today is there's a few of us going to be speaking to you today about different areas associated to this topic. And at the end, there'll be the opportunity to do a question and answer session. You can type questions in the chat window at any point. It should be somewhere towards the top right-hand corner of your screen. And there's a little drop down for chat. So if you want to type the questions in there, then the appropriate panelists will cover those at the end. Firstly, I'd like to thank you all for joining, and I'd also like to thank our panelists today for joining. We've got Sue Careys from Mixed Telematics joining me, and Sue is a fleet consultant in the UK. So basically her job is to work with UK transport and logistics organisations and bus and coach organisations to help them get the most out of their telematics investments. So she speaks with real authority when talking about her topic, and certainly as well in terms of how she works with all the stakeholders in different businesses to get the most out of the investments. I'm also very happy to welcome Gareth Mole, Engineering Director from Cardiff Bus as well today. And Gareth has been a customer of Mixed Telematics for many years, and I'm very grateful to him for his time today in helping us to deliver this session to you. Hopefully you can all see my screen okay. You should now see a slide that has the heading Introduction. Effectively today what we're going to do is break down this topic into three areas. One of the most commonly asked questions that certainly I've had in nearly my 8 years with Mix has been how customers actually get the most out of investing in telematics. Now, there's a number of different reasons why people choose to adopt a telematics solution. And of course, there are many providers of all shapes and sizes, some of whom have a global presence like Mix and certainly with a strong presence in the UK too. And there are lots of organizations focused on different industry types. Really, a little bit about Mix. Firstly, we're a company that is very much focused on the UK transport and logistics and the UK bus and coach markets. And our solutions are really designed to provide benefits in those areas. It's a very difficult thing when customers invest in telematics for them to understand exactly the process of getting to the return on investment that they actually wanted in the first place when they chose to invest. There's a number of different ways that you can access and unlock the different benefits associated to telematics. And hopefully by the end of this session today, you'll have understood and learned a little bit more about how it's possible in the areas, first of all, of fuel efficiency, which Sue will present, then digital tacho download, which I will present, and last but not least, preventative maintenance that Gareth will present. As I mentioned before, we'll then have a question and answers session at the end. So without further ado, I'll introduce Sue's topic of fuel efficiency.
Good afternoon, I am Sue Careys from Mixed Telematics. I'm a fleet consultancy manager and I'm here to discuss fuel efficiency with you. Firstly, how to improve your fuel efficiency. You can improve driving performance with various different coaching methods. Also look at reducing idling using onboard in-cab display devices and improving processes within the business. Firstly, improving driving performance with coaching methods. There are various methods that can be used within your business that suits the needs that you have. You can have a driver application for drivers to self-monitor their own performance. There are driver workshops that can happen in the canteens or various areas where drivers congregate. Driver steering groups are also another method that you can use, which includes using driver mentors and champions. And this enables you to then draw off the experience of other drivers within the groups. There are one-to-one coaching sessions as well that are available for use, and there are also customer CPC modules. So all of these different methods can be used singly, or you can use them in various different ways within the business. Monitoring your idling time. So by implementing an idling policy, there are fuel savings to be made. On heavy duty vehicles, it is around 3 litres per hour, and on light duty vehicles, it's around 1 litre per hour. In order to bring these policies into place, there are various different monitoring applications that you can do. There is the in-cab driver feedback device, which actually tells drivers while they're on the vehicles if they're going over the idling allocation time. You've got live monitoring by management of using notifications. So if your drivers and your vehicles are idling for a period of time, then the back office can be notified this as it is happening, which enables them to action the idling. There are also data reporting dashboards that can be used, so you can see trends over periods of times, and you can monitor the reduction of the idling at various different seasonal levels as well within the year. And then there are also geofence locations that can be set up specifically to monitor idling, and these can then bring into account that you can use various different times before the idling actually starts to monitor. How could you make simple process changes using telematics? There are 3 key ideas that we would like to bring to your attention. You can assess the whole business to see where telematics data can make a difference. So very often it's various different levels within the business where telematics data can make small changes but can be very valuable, but it can also be quite larger changes where you can then bring in like driver performance within operations departments to bring in the fuel efficiency. You can improve your visibility and usage of assets and drivers using the reporting suites and also the tracking and the notifications of various different events such as idling. But it's very important that you implement targets for your key points of interest. And these key points of interest can be measurable through telematics, because you can use dashboard data for the analysis of these key points of interest and then review them on a regular basis within your business. Many thanks for your time. We'd just like to bring in again the fuel efficiency is just ahead. Thank you.
Good day to you all. My name is Jonathan Bates and I'm the Marketing Director for Mixed Telematics Europe. I'm really delighted to be here today to share with you this portion of how to turn the potential savings from telematics investments into a reality. This session focuses on how to obtain an outstanding return on investment from employing a good digital tachograph download solution. So firstly, a quick introduction. The purpose of automation is to cut down admin time, cut out manual errors, and also to cut out the danger of not submitting data on time. The mixed hours of service solution allows for integration with digital tachographs to offer the following functionality. Firstly, remote digital tachograph file download. This includes a customizable download schedule, also the capability for ad hoc file downloads, and company card configuration for download authentication. Secondly, real-time hours of service. This enables real-time available hours overviews for all drivers, as well as a graphical driver log for a single driver and several insight reports so that you can really understand what the data is telling you. And last but not least, the solution includes an automated file transfer service to archive service providers such as TISWeb or the FTA solution. Okay, so how does this actually create value for customers? Firstly, According to our research, operators spend on average 2 hours per vehicle per month downloading manually the tachograph data. Once our automated solution has been set up, this manual download time is eliminated. On top of this factor, operators don't have to get their vehicles back to their depots to manually download the data, meaning that they can stay on the road where they should be, earning money for their businesses without unproductive downtime. To put this into perspective, if you take these figures and apply it to an operator running a fleet of 50 trucks, the total time saved would be on average 1,200 hours per year. That's a tremendous amount of time unlocked to be making money rather than wasting it needlessly. Secondly, optimizing driving hours. You can optimize driving hours and avoid infringements by having a live view of each driver's driving time, waiting time, rest times, and when they're available, and applying that information intelligently to ensure that any risks are mitigated. Furthermore, looking after drivers in this way also helps to improve driver retention. If you were to be working on retrospective data only, you do lose the ability to plan and manage in real time and therefore run the risk of costly violations. Also, you don't have the peace of mind that would be associated to knowing that everything's taken care of in an automated manner. Number 3, the propensity for incurring costly fines is increasing in the UK. In addition to a number of legal provisions that stipulate a range of fines, from non-submission of data through to incomplete submission or data not submitted on time, this area is being policed with a growing appetite. This is another important reason to mitigate from a risky manual process to a de-risked automated download schedule. This migration most commonly can be set at weekly intervals on the scheduler. In addition to the automated process, the system can be configured to automate the integration with archive analysis providers, such as the FDA's archiving solution or TISWeb, just for example. By using the combined solution, operators can instantly see where infringements or potential infringements have occurred, and then improve their processes to ensure that they work towards zero infringements and zero potential fines. Peace of mind is so valuable in this heavily legislated area, and that's what this level of automation and control provides. And a fourth bonus benefit, the benefit of technology convergence. So by this, I mean that tacho download solutions like the one that Mixed Telematics provides give operators two important total cost of telematics hardware savings. The first is that the tacho download hardware itself is integrated within the core telematics unit, meaning that it's a one-box solution, eliminating the need for investment in a separate add-on box. Secondly, solutions like this enable operators to digitally capture the driver's identification details from the tachograph directly, once again meaning that no additional driver identification keys, fobs, or dashboard driver ID receptacles are required, eliminating additional cost. In summary, the technology has now evolved to the degree that everything is integrated in a single box solution, the utmost financial benefit of operators. So, last slide, in summary, there's a tremendous amount of value to unlock from deploying a digital tachograph download solution. If operators consider the manual administration time saved, the equivalent of 1 day per vehicle per year saved, the cost and time benefit of keeping vehicles on the road, the elimination of risk of costly fines, the optimization of driving hours productivity, and the enhanced benefit of a one-box solution, plus the integration capabilities to archive analysis providers, there's an extremely attractive return on investment package waiting for those forward-thinking operators. Thank you all so much for your time today, and I do hope that you found this session informative.
Hello, my name's Gareth Mole. I'm the Engineering Director of Cardiff Bus. We're a PSV operator of approximately 220 vehicles in South Wales, Great Britain. and we operate in the Cardiff, Newport, and the Vale of Glamorgan area. We've been a customer of Mixed Telematics for approximately 10 years, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about what we've done in respect of preventative maintenance and using the system from an engineering point of view. We've had great success supported by Mix in the early days with managing the driver behaviour, fuel usage, and reduction in incidents, which are the standard headline figures for any telematics system. So as we developed that and strove to get more value out of the product, we looked at what else we could do to further making sure that we're getting value. The first thing we looked at, where we considered, was how issues we were having with overheating on vehicles, particularly some of our older vehicles, and the downtime this was causing when they were in service, and potentially the damage it was causing if the vehicle continued in service without any action being taken. So we looked at how we could monitor using the cam line the engine temperature. And whilst there's obviously systems on the vehicles that will advise the driver of any over temperature, we wanted to know when the engines were getting hotter than they should be, so we could take preventative action, and also to protect ourselves against potentially staff driving on without the knowledge of the damage they were causing to the vehicles. So we decided to do some development assisted by Mix. So we started small. We used a group of 19 vehicles, our articulated vehicle fleet that does the same duties day in, day out. And we set the temperature warning in the system from the cam line to read slightly below the warning the driver would get when an occurrence occurred. As soon as this occurs, the report is sent to, an alert is sent to the shift managers to advise them that the vehicle is of concern. There's no driver awareness at this point, so no need to contact control or stop the vehicle or whatever. Obviously, then we can take this information and act on it in two ways. We can pass it to control if we're concerned about what we're seeing, and if not, we can store it for a weekly report where the vehicles that have tripped this warning can be just given a once over, see if there's any issues found on the vehicles that may cause these overheats or these close overheats to be of concern. Following doing this, we had some very early success where we were able to monitor several vehicles and find issues on them, and then we rolled them out to the whole fleet at a later date. The rollout of the whole fleet, we believe, certainly on the over vehicles, has saved us currently around 3 engines in very, very quick order. And of course, as soon as we had the preventative information, we were able to take action now ahead of time, which prevents us getting into that situation. Obviously, hasn't alleviated the whole problem, but it has certainly seen a reduction in our major usage, major unit usage. The next one we looked at was monitoring of battery voltage. Another issue within the bus industry is non-starts. There's a heavy draw of voltage on the vehicles with all the kit that we add to, particularly the older vehicles. The customer demands LED displays, new ticket machines, internal media, and all this can put an added strain on batteries that possibly weren't built for their job. So once again, through trial and error, we were able, and it does vary for each individual vehicle type, so it is close work and trial and error with Mixed Telematics to identify and find out the right level of information you're going to get without overpowering the managers with false alerts. We're now able to again have warning of a vehicle that's got repeated battery issues, where the voltage is going too low or the battery's not holding its charge, and again that enables us to proactively manage the replacement of batteries and or look at any potential potential corrective maintenance that needs to be taking place on those particular vehicles if there is a current draw that's causing that. It does lead us to find several vehicles with unrelated issues that are causing it. It's not necessarily the batteries. So again, this report is sent out to the engineering team, and they're able to cross-reference that with vehicles, battery replacement data, and see if there is a history of faults on that particular vehicle. That's again has been rolled out to the whole fleet, and again is part of our just standard working practice now that we use to manage and try and proactively ensure that the vehicles are on the road and their uptime is as high as possible. So moving on, we looked at the other thing that we were noticing it from our cost reports is the increase in the use of suspension components. The road conditions are not great in the area, and we're currently trialling on 10 of our vehicles the free access report, where this is measuring heavy road impacts, and this can be from a number of areas. The vehicle isn't being driven correctly, the speed ramps, speed cushions, they are littered across the city to manage speed in those areas, and if a driver is hitting those too hard, the vehicle will pick that up. Although what we tend to see more of is where a road is breaking down, particularly in the winter months, where a pothole very quickly becomes a very deep pothole, and we're able to measure that and see that on the 10 vehicles that we're trialing, which all tend to be on similar routes. We're able to hotspot this and build a map of where these issues are, and if needs be, send one of our team out to have a look. We have, even though we're in trial on this, we have on 2 occasions identified roads that are of big concern and are causing issues not only to our vehicles but other vehicles that are used in them, and we pass this information on, and we've got a very close working relationship with the local authorities there who are keen to obviously remove their risk as well, and by doing that we're obviously taking out some of our maintenance concerns with damage to suspension. It's early days on this one, but we are quite using that more and more to identify what's going on. So that's another angle. So in summary then, in terms of preventative maintenance, we're scratching the surface, I believe, of possibilities, and we've got a few other interesting developments that we're working on with mixed telematics, and we're trialing at the moment. And the one thing that's quickly becoming apparent to me and my team are buying into, that whereas telematics is seen as a driver aid, that is not the case. It's way more than that, and by utilising, spending a bit of time, the value you can extract for the business is more than just the fuel saving and the driving improvements. We're also looking at electric opportunities. Electric vehicles are coming into our city. We're hopeful to introduce those next year, and we're very keen to see what the possibilities there are with telematics and what we can manage and how we can use the system to help make sure we're as efficient as possible on that side of things, which is going to open up a whole new area for us to explore. So in summary, don't just look at driving and fuel saving. There is so much more that we found that we can do to make sure we're extracting value from the system. Thank you.
Thank you to all of the panelists there. I hope that you all found that interesting for the attendees. I think that we may have 1 or 2 questions that have appeared in the chat window whilst we've been presenting, so we're just going to explore those now. Okay, so the first question, are Mix Telematics ready for the new generation tachographs? So I believe this question relates to the new legislation for the smart tachographs coming into place in June this year. So the answer is yes, we're currently building that into our new generation telematics box. So we will be ready for those new tachographs for sure. Just looking at other questions that have come in, a couple have come in to me directly. So just a question around why is it that so few fleet operators see true savings from telematics? I think this comes down to maybe two factors. The first, I would say, is perhaps trying to make sure that operators really understand who in their own business is going to be using what data that telematics provides. And so what we've seen with our customers, certainly the ones that are really successful are the ones that we provide quite substantial fleet consultancy support to through people like Sue, who spoke earlier on fuel efficiency. Having somebody that can really go into a client business and help them to understand who needs what data and what they need to do with it once they've got it. I think that's probably the most important element, and that's the biggest thing that I'd advise to anyone who's investing in telematics, is to make sure they know who's going to do what with the data once they've received it. And the second is being really super focused on which benefits you want to get from it and how you're going to do it. So by that I mean, really understanding during the buying process what it is you're trying to get from the system. So is it about cost savings? Is it about safety? Or is it a legal compliance thing that you're primarily trying to get? And having clear targets established from day one for those things, really challenging your supplier to meet those targets all the way through the evolution of your contract, and not just getting some initial savings. So make sure you do challenge your supplier, whoever that might be, to provide a real customer success service. Any more questions? Let's just have a look. So there's a question for Gareth around preventative maintenance, and just are there any other factors other than the ones that you described today, Gareth, that you would advise that operators should be looking at in terms of preventative maintenance? Any other events or savings to focus on?
Yeah, I think, hello, I think I alluded to at the end, there's several other possibilities that we're looking at the moment. If we could get data from the CAN line, if we can get the signal, we can measure it. We have played in the past with doors, and we're looking at oil levels and things such as that. Very early days on some of these things. If you're going to get the value from them, you need to invest the time in them to do one at a time. I think as a small team here, if we try to do too much at once, we will end up breaking what we've done. So the possibilities are endless, and they will differ for each the challenges of each operator and what their issues are and what they particularly want to look at. I mentioned non-starts within our industry, and overheating is a big issue. Doors, the reliability of doors is perhaps something other operators don't experience. So yeah, there are limitless things you can measure.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much for answering that one, Gareth. Really appreciate it. And there's a last question specifically about fleet consultancy. So the question is, what would you say, Sue, from your experience, is the most important thing that operators should do in order to really instill best practice within their own organisations? What advice could you give on that?
Okay, so it's important as a consultant, when you're working with your customer right from the early stages of even, before a contract is, that you understand what their needs are and what their pains are, so that you can help the customers to implement the system. But it's important that we get them to work together in all the different departments. So you talk about operations and engineering, in the transport departments, with the union engagement. So it's really for us to fully understand and to guide the customer in that direction. And sometimes, as Gareth's alluded to with the engineering data, is to start off with small amounts of data and then build it up and up and up throughout the, you know, the contract, so that the customer doesn't get inundated with it all in the first 6 months, and that you can, you know, and also there's a massive part of it is in driver engagement. You must engage drivers alongside with all of these processes at the same time, because ultimately you want them to change and to look at how they are driving in order to get some benefits out of the system. So hopefully, you know, and what we do is we do evolve throughout contracts as well. So when customers change their needs and they change, you know, their requirements, then that's when we can introduce more from the system to them. Hopefully that's helped with that.
That's great. So yeah, no, I think that really answers the question. Thank you for that. So I don't think there are any more questions. If you do have some, then please just let us know now. But if not, I'd like to thank everyone for joining. If you do want any further information on perhaps some of the detail of these savings and how we've been able to achieve them with different operators, you can see my contact details on screen now. So please feel free to get in touch. We'd be more than happy to just have a chat through anything that you wanted to understand in more detail. And we really appreciate your time today, everyone. Now, I know it's an investment of time to take time out of your day. So thank you so much for joining. And we hope to speak to you all again soon. And I'm sure we'll be back with another in our series of webinars very shortly. Okay, take care, everyone. Thanks very much.